Welcome to this very special edition of the Author's Voice with KAJ, a show where we explore the stories behind the stories. Here we dive into the worlds created by authors, discover their inspirations, and ensure that you walk away enriched and inspired. And today we have with us author Deborah Coviello. She's also known as the Drop In CEO. She's the author of several books, and today we'll talk about her book, CEO's Compass, Your Guide to Get Back on Track. So let's talk about this book. Let's dive into the story behind the story. Welcome to the show, Deborah.
AJ, thank you so much for having me on here and looking forward to sharing more about the story behind the story. So thank you again.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show once again, Deborah, this time on the Author's Voice with KJ. So we'll be talking about your book. We'll talk about that in detail. But before that, let's understand a bit about your journey towards becoming an author. Very quickly, if you can tell us, how did this journey of becoming an author begin? Generally, people are very busy in their work. Author, you take a lot of time to think exactly if you want to write books. Here you have written several books. That's why I'm curious to understand the inspiration to become an author and then continuously writing several books.
Yeah, so I think the inspiration is because people look at me and say, like, Deb, how did you become who you are now? You were not like this in corporate. And I tell people, I think I have returned to the creative person that I once was as a child. I was an artist, I was a singer and dancer and a prolific writer. I used to write stories, I used to act them out, talk to myself. And then I went into education and corporate, and I was able to communicate and able to write, but there was something missing, my creative outlet. And very quickly, when I left corporate and started my own business, I needed an outlet for my creativity. And I found listening to podcasts, writing posts on LinkedIn. I was a prolific writer and video creator. And then somebody said one day, you got put up a lot of content, but what are you all about? Like, I didn't have a system. They didn't understand where was I going with all of these insights. So it was a message to me. I needed to distill down my message. And over time, the compass became the foundation for the insights that I provide to CEOs, with true north being peace of mind and the seven compass points to get back on track. So that's a little bit of the inspiration of, like, I had to write the first book because I was talking and speaking too much. Had to be so people could understand what I stand for and how I help people.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get to the book itself. Let's understand about the book itself. Here it's on the screen, the CEO's Compass. Help us understand what does the CEO Compass mean? Why this book? What was the inspiration for this particular book?
So first of all, the cover design, just so you know, there are many leadership and management and business books out there, and I choose to do something a little bit different. So many of them, I'll have to say, are very boring in the way that they look. And it was very, very important to me to not only have a CEO read the book, but also see it as something that is beautiful and should remain on their desk for reference. So a watch, a compass is a beautiful piece that you have close to you, so you're before you get off track. It's I just wanted something beautiful for them to say, I need a compass sometime when I feel off track. So the main message here, and in the first words of the chapter, is I see you. I see you looking out the window, wondering, how am I going to get through this challenge and get back on track? I myself have been that leader. Despite all of my technical capability, leadership experience, etc., I got to a place in corporate where I was lost and I didn't have a support system. And no matter of working harder, writing more procedures, and getting resources was going to help me. And with time and my experience, I realized, there's a better way. That we're not broken as leaders, but there are some things that if you do them a little bit differently or follow some of these compass points, other than just, to try to get to peace of mind or true north, you may be able to get back on track. And so this is my guide for them to look at. How do I get to peace of mind? Am I off on my purpose or performance, process, people, or platforms? And two of these that I learned in corporate that are invaluable is understanding the deep, rich culture and people's past and their pride of what they bring to work. So all of these compass points with my personal stories are for the C-suite leader to think about things differently and what might they need to just adjust like a compass to get them back on track to true north.
Absolutely. So a CEO is supposed to show the way, find the way for everyone? Why, when are these situations when they themselves lose the way and they need a compass? Help us understand
Okay.
from that point of view.
So this starts leading into the second book that has it's in draft form. It's not finalized yet. But what happens is a CEO needs a new playbook. They have risen to these positions based on their technical knowledge, their experience, and their ability to leverage resources. But sometimes they'll come into a situation where the conditions change. And they look at their playbook. It's like, I've never faced this before. There is an economic crisis, a political crisis, a pandemic, weather, Mother Nature. They may never have been faced with these things that exceed their capacity and resource to figure it out. And they get to a place of where they start losing their confidence. And then they start saying, am I really set for this? And I say, wait a second. First of all, mindset. You can get through challenges again, but you need to maybe think about a different playbook. What you did before doesn't work, but using the compass, and it's really very people focused by investing in people and unleashing their potential is really the key of what you're meant to do. It's not working harder, it's not working smarter, it's unleashing the potential of the people. Ultimately, when you do that, yes, you'll get results, but the key point is you get to a better place of peace of mind because you can get to results anytime. You just beat people to get the results. But are you fixing the people? Are you giving them all the resources they need to be successful? I share these stories and insights because if you're disciplined as a leader and work on that, the people are going to deliver. They're your greatest asset. And ultimately, everybody's going to be firing on all cylinders. Everybody's going to know their job. They're going to be servicing the customers. You will start to experience peace of mind. You need to think differently. You need to suck it up. You need to have the courage to realize you might need some additional guidance and support. And that's what the book is meant for.
Absolutely. So what's inside the book, Deborah? How do we know? Because outside it looks very good. Inside we don't know. Anyone listening to this interview must be egged on to get to the inside of book, and that can only happen by getting hold of this book.
So, what's inside the book? Well, it is not a cookie cutter approach. Yes, I can be a consultant. I don't give you A to Z what you need to do. But what I always do is I start by getting you to think differently. Like, don't assume the narrative. You've lost your confidence. You're just in a new situation that you've never faced before. So, I talk to you first. And by the way, the reason why you should open the book is it's a conversation between myself and you as the reader. It's not third party, it's not generic, because then after I get your attention, then I give you some real stories that maybe you can relate to. Because I can give you all the information in the world, but when I share a story and you can say, I've been there. Then it starts to connect with you. So I'm really trying to reach your mind and your heart. And at the end of every chapter, there's some actionable tips because you don't need me. You can use my book with the actionable tips on how to get back on track, whether you're off on performance of your people or you're not investing in the right processes to help the team dynamics. It is a do it yourself book written for you, to you. That's why you need to open up the book.
Absolutely. So it's only for leaders, or is it for only for CEOs, or is it for lesser mortals also, Deborah?
So you bring up an interesting topic, and it wasn't an argument that I had with my book coach, but it was a very important conversation. I said, listen, for a C-suite leader or CEO, it's written for you. But I said, wait a second. There's a lot of people out there that are trying to work hard and ascend into positions of higher influence. The book's for everybody because if you already have the awareness and seeing things uneasy, you can pick up the book. And that's like 80 or 90% of the population, and be able to learn and start applying these principles. So maybe you don't get off track and you get better results. So, really, I say it's for everybody who is aspiring to have more influence and unleash people's potential, help you to avoid some conflict. But under the coach's guidance, I needed to at least direct it to one audience because C suite leaders have the biggest impact on businesses. And if we can't get them back on track, other people are looking up to them. So it is directed to the C suite leader. But if you aspire to have influence, this book is for you.
Absolutely. So you talk about leaders, a CEO's peace of mind. What about the employee's peace of mind? Means that will depend very much on the CEO. How does those things get calibrated? Or is it,
Oh,
it
wow.
may sound very self-centric here.
Wow, you know what? I am going to do a dance right now on your show because I have never been asked exactly that question. However, as I think through what you said, I can paint a picture what peace of mind looks like for the C suite leader. But if I had to think about for the average person, the line worker who is producing a product day in and day out, and they are very close to your customer, peace of mind might be, does your boss come down to the production floor and not only say, "Hey, how's it going? All right, keep it up." Or do they actually ask you questions about how are you feeling? How is the work? What do you think we could do differently? And then, by the way, a week later, they come back and say, I heard you. This is what we decided to change to make your life easier. How is it going? And check. And then, by the way, how's your family doing? And then, by the way, thank you for doing that work. I appreciate you because now we're having a customer come in because they want to see what it is that we're doing. I think then an employee can have peace of mind knowing one, they have good work ethic. Two, their employers care about them and listen to them. And three, they're going to get validation that the people they're impacting really feel what they're doing. And then they can go home with a sense of pride to their family. And then that transcends into the family culture. For me, I think that would be peace of mind for a frontline worker.
Absolutely. So is that a very difficult job or a very easy job? Means CEOs have a lot of power. Why is it so difficult to get down to the factory floor, manufacturing floor, and talk to the workers and immediately, like instant coffee, you get peace of mind by bringing peace to the minds of the employees?
That is such an amazing question because I have seen C suite leaders that will dictate and speak to the people at their level. And I actually had one day. I said, "Why aren't you down in the plant? Your message is so good." I let my plant managers do that. I'm saying, "Oh my God, what a missed opportunity." They have such a great message, but they don't come down off the mountain and connect with the people. And I think that is a missing link. You bring up such a good point because if we can go down to the floor, and learn and just get the pulse of the business, you will get validation if the work that you're doing at the top is having the impact or just having a conversation with them. It's almost like we've lost the art of connecting with humanity, or we're afraid, or we're at a place, or this is not our area of expertise. There may be a sense of pride and fear. So we avoid. And I think that you bring up such a great question. There's such great insight that I had that at one time too. I will admit that. But in my maturity as a consultant that drops in, I find such value by just establishing relationships with people unrelated to work. And then guess what happens? Magic happens. You come back out on the floor again. They say, "Hey, Deb, come on over here. Can I show you something? That new procedure you put in, it's not working." And then you say, "Oh, let me help you fix it." And then they come back and they tell you more. Guess what? We might want to improve this over. You need to learn the art of building rapport. You were at the bottom at one point in your career. Go back to your humble beginnings and reconnect because magic can happen when you do connect with people through the top down to the bottom.
Absolutely. So in your understanding, expertise, where is the most pressure or uh, stress of mind comes from a CEO? Is it from the employees? Is it from the customers? Or is it from the board who always wants to have maximum profit?
So, my recent experience comes from those external stakeholders because they're putting immense pressure. Because sometimes they're not on the inside that realize it takes discipline and time to put the right sustainable processes in place to sustainably get results. They're very short sighted, and so that goes to my second book's tagline: "Stop chasing results." And start pursuing peace of mind. There is great pressure from up above to make the numbers. But a disciplined leader will say, "I'll get you some quick wins, but bear with me. I need the time to build up the foundation of my people and the resources and the systems." And so they feel this pressure. And when they can't achieve or get even those short wins, they start losing their confidence. And the next thing you know, those top line leaders replace those CEOs with somebody that they're familiar with. I am seeing that over and over and over again. And that's why the second book will get written. It's drafted to tell people there is a different way of operating. The new CEO playbook: stop chasing results, start pursuing peace of mind. Top stakeholders, private equity are putting such pressure on these C-suite leaders. And I hope to change that.
Absolutely, absolutely. You hope to change that. We hope to see that change happening. But looks, we'll just have to keep on seeing. Let's watch out for that. But from this book itself, what key insights, what key message do you want readers of this book to take away with them?
So I really want readers to think, because so often we will just read books and then just put it on the shelf. That's why I created a beautiful design. It's not meant to be on a shelf. It's meant to stay on your book, on your desk. When you are feeling off track, remember I was talking to you. Let me be your CEO whisperer. Let me be your guide to get you back. Let me be your compass through the book. Okay? I don't want you to just say it's a one and done. I want you to continually think versus just do, because that's the lost art. Leaders just go on autopilot and just do the same thing day in and day out. We need to carve out time to think and do nothing and see if there's a better way to behave, because your people are looking up at you. And if you continue to be acting the same way, you're going to get the same result. You need to be the disciplined leader. Just take some time and say, you know what? I am off track. Let me look at the book to help me get back on track. That's what I hope.
Absolutely. And talking about your next book, when is that new next book coming in, Deborah?
So I am getting put on the spot here. It was supposed to release, this is 2025. I am making a commitment. It will get written and into the editors before the end of 2025. So it will come out within 6 months, because I'm getting to a place where the creative is getting to the point where the universe is telling me it's time to write the book. I didn't want to stress myself out too much. I have so many ideas as a business owner, and I also wanted to invest in my well-being and return some time to my family and community. So I delayed the book, and that's an important business decision. But the book has to get written. So late 2025, early 2026, you will see the new book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much to learn from your book. There is so much to learn from you, the Drop In CEO, and also so much to learn from your podcast. So I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn from you, and everything that you do. What's the best way for them to do so, Deborah?
Again, AJ, thank you so much for having me on the show. The best way to connect with me is my website. Go to dropinceo.com and also go /gift. I share with you a free chapter of my book in audio or PDF, and I curated 3 free podcast episodes that I think you'll really benefit. dropinceo.com. Would love to see you there. Thank you so much, AJ.
Wonderful, wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the Author's Voice with KJ. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.